Smexuality is one of the defining attributes of humanity for most people, and because of that, controlling people through shaming smexuality is about as profitable as taxing the air we breathe. I was raised in Mormonism, which is an incredibly controlling institution that uses the shame of smexuality to control and submit its populace. This doesn't actually stop anything because people are humans, but that shame does messed up things to people's perceptions of themselves and each other. It also makes those kinds of abuses much more common, since most smexuality carries a stigma of shame with it in that environment. So, I'm not a fan of that. It's a breeding ground for personality disorders since people have to mask to hide their inherent human imperfection, which we've been shamed into including smexuality. And abuse is much easier to get away with when manipulators figure out how to mask and work that system. I'm also not a prude, and I love a good dirty joke among safe friends and partners at the appropriate time and place. But there are practical reasons why celibacy is a powerful choice to make outside of the boundaries of a divine union, which is why I made the choice several years ago to never settle again or squander my precious sacral energy in anything less than a divinely aligned union. Our life force is precious, and our sacral energy is where our creativity comes from. That's the energy to create solutions, art, income, and all manner of material wealth. It's also where we reproduce other people, spoiler alert. When you engage in smegs with someone, you are exchanging that precious energy. If someone is equitably matched to you, then there is a harmonious and equitable exchange, but when you are not equitably matched, your energetic overflow will fill their deficit, or vice versa, which is why energy vampires especially love to be promiscuous or exploitative when it comes to smexual dynamics. It's more about the energy than the pleasure of the act, even if they aren't aware that's their motive, though I think many of them are, because it's a form of subjugation when it's not equitable. For many unhealed and toxic people, smexuality is more about power than pleasure, and certainly more than love. We also see this demonstrated in cases of SA, where one person walks away from that exchange energized, and one person does not. SA is the most direct way to steal life force, which is what makes it one of the most insidious abuses of power. Rape is a partial unaliving, or partial red drum, in my opinion. Now, if you are, or have ethically engaged in the hookup lifestyle, then you won't get shamed by me, and I hope if you do that, you'll make that choice without shaming yourself either. But it's helpful and important to know that smegs is much more powerful and valuable than we've been mostly culturally taught, at least not without the shaming tactics. And if there was any previous doubt, Bumble went and removed it by making it clear that selling our bodies, our sacred life force, is not only their business model, but the model of any business functioning from the ideology that Smeg sells. That's your Smegs they're selling. And part of why it's so valuable is because that's the source of your creative wealth, your creative life force. That's because we are energetic beings. We are uniquely composed symphonies of electromagnetic energy, which means that if you're vibrating at a higher frequency than the person you're connecting with, it's going to come at your cost and their benefit to meet in the middle. Someone who's habitually truthful, who is casually hooking up with a compulsive liar, is going to benefit the lying partner at the cost of the honest one, because their energy has a higher vibration and it's met in the middle when you connect in that way. The liar will come out ahead, and the honest person will be more depleted after that exchange, even if it's an otherwise positive experience. Can you recover from that? Of course, but it takes time and effort, and sometimes healing. More often than not, those kinds of encounters are also lacking in quality and care, which really doesn't make it worthwhile from a cost-benefit analysis. I know that if I had to choose between inconsiderate, low-vibe, bad smegs and being a cat lady, especially a rich cat lady, that choice would be so easy. But also, the best smegs you'll ever have is with someone who is equitably matched. That's in integrity, values, and the standards they hold for themselves, because that's what determines the quality of their energy, their frequency set point, as well as someone who is invested in making sure you have an equitably excellent experience. She comes first. If you have a history of building and exploring those equitably excellent experiences together, then you also compound the quality of your subsequent ones. This makes it an addition and a benefit to the quality of your life, not a detraction from it or a loss you have to work to overcome. The best way to determine that is to take your time, usually a long time, in vetting your partners to make sure you aren't taking an energetic loss in having sex with them. It serves you much better in achieving that end. A divinely aligned union doesn't always last forever or culminate in marriage, but it is an equitably matched union that you know is the exact right thing for you both at that time, and it leaves you both infinitely better off than you were before that relationship. Largely because high-vibe relationships consist of two givers. And it's important to recognize that not all or even most marriages are divinely aligned unions if they are unequally yoked or oppressive. So saying you're holding out for marriage without vetting that partner on every front will just mean you're more deeply entrapped with a bad match. Just because they're willing to benefit from marrying you doesn't mean they intend to be equitably yoked or have the same integrity and vibrational standards that you do the work to maintain. Both things are true. So, you can make a beneficial sexual encounter happen outside of a divine union, but going through the paces of developing that kind of commitment is the most feasible and practical way to find that kind of harmonious match. And maintaining your sacral power for yourself, investing that in your best interests, is often best accomplished by harnessing the power of celibacy when you aren't in union that authentically magnifies it with you. Either way, do what you will without shame because it's not productive. This isn't about dogma or quantifying a person's worth. It's about making the healthiest choice that's in your best interest, which also means doing harm to none. And energy vampires and abusers don't realize they are ultimately hurting themselves too. Because to be human is divine. And for most people, that's deeply connected to their God-given gift of sexuality. And we love aces too. Some of them figured this out sooner. Remember that you are precious, you are worthy, and you are loved, even if you're silly enough to be a human, and everything that comes with that.